the law is clear. Federal judges have told Social Security Administration, you are not allowed to punish folks with disabilities who are just trying to live a normal life. And an occasional overseas trip, this person is not going overseas every month and living it up like they're a 20-year-old and partying all day, all night.
Mervin Kurniawan, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so grateful that for your time. I know how extremely busy you are. So I'm glad that you're here. And I just wanted to say, to potential clients or whoever's listening, maybe current clients, you are one of the success stories I love to tell folks in our firm and brag about your sort of kind of rise to what you've become in our firm. And so I love that story. And I don't want to tell it myself. I want to hear your perspective on the story. So first and foremost, thank you. Let's just jump into it. And I have some questions, and I just want some folks to get to know you, via this interview, and then obviously can connect with you down the road too, in person or over the phone or virtually. So, Murray, why don't you tell our folks, our listeners, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, where you came up from, and then sort of how you ended up with Evan's disability.
Yeah, for sure. Peter, thank you very much as well. Appreciate you having me on, employing me, keeping me having a job. So I have pretty much grown up in Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest. I was born overseas in Indonesia, but my family moved to the Portland metro area when I was about 2 years old. So I went to grade school, middle school, high school, and college all in Oregon. I'm a graduate from Oregon State University with a degree in economics. And I came to the firm. It's an interesting story. We actually have a mutual acquaintance, a doctor who is someone who is a medical expert that Social Security often called upon to provide expert testimony in a disability hearing. She knew that you were looking for a legal assistant, and she let me know and vouched for you as well that, hey, I think Peter Evans is a stand-up guy. You may really enjoy working for him. And to be completely honest, if it weren't for this doctor's recommendation, I likely wouldn't even know that you were searching for a legal assistant, and I also probably wouldn't have even thought about applying for the job, because prior to meeting you, Peter, I kind of had the general stereotype that people have about lawyers. These are these tricky folks. They make a living out of being very crafty with words, and they're really in it for the money. At the end of the day, that's what they care about. When I met you in your office, this was maybe about 5 years ago, when you still had an office in downtown Portland, I was immediately impressed. You're really the first lawyer that I sat with and talked to where I felt like, this person is different. This person is not who I thought they would be. They don't fit the stereotypical idea of a lawyer that I grew up with just from absorbing it from pop culture. I think this person actually genuinely cares about the lives of their clients and is invested in his representation, specifically in this case in their disability claim. So I was impressed from our first meeting. I went home and I remember on the way back home, you had called me and made the job offer, and I was like, yes, I'll come work for you. I started off as a legal assistant, and I've done everything that legal assistants do on our firm, scanning and attaching mail into our electronic system, answering the phone, the initial intakes with our clients, the first applications with clients, filling out the appeals, and all the way up to being a legal assistant, helping out our lawyers in federal court. At one point, when I was a legal assistant, you told me that there's something called a non-attorney representative, and that's my current title now with Evans Disability. A non-attorney representative is someone who has received certification from Social Security to represent people in Social Security court. So doing their disability hearing, being their representative in front of an administrative law judge. The process involved, for me, I think it was a year. You told me about it, and I began studying because Social Security makes you take an exam. They offer this exam once a year for everyone in the country. At the time, it was in Dallas-Fort Worth. I've never been to Texas before. I took the test. I passed it the first time. I got a 94 out of 100, so I was very proud. I remember we talked on the phone like immediately after the test about some of the questions. I think I had like 3 questions I didn't know the answer to, and I think those were the only questions that I got wrong. And since then, I've done now over 100 hearings, and my role in the firm at this point is really to be an ambassador of hope, is to connect with our clients at every level. In the past, people who were applying for disability and were our clients, they would talk to their lawyer once we knew when their hearing was going to be. But that could be a year or 2 years down the line from when they started applying for a disability claim. Our firm is now trying to do something that other firms don't offer, probably aren't even considering offering, which is allowing clients at any point, wherever they are in the disability claims process, to speak to someone who has had experience representing people in Social Security court, to get some answers, to get some questions answered that maybe a legal assistant who our legal assistants are very well trained, but they don't have experience representing people in Social Security court. They haven't received that credential and they haven't had that experience. I have that experience and I can give insight and expertise to folks at any point in their disability claims. I think that's a very unique feature that our clients have access to. I'm very proud that we are trying this program out. And I really do look forward to connecting with our clients. It's always been my favorite part of the job is letting them know that we truly do care about their case. We want to go above and beyond to make sure that A, that their case is in the best possible position to win, and B, that they feel that we're on their side. We're here to offer them hope, encouragement, and knowledge. That's my role in the firm. I hope I answered your question, Peter.
You did. You did above and beyond. So first, thank you for the kind words. I remember your interview as well, and a little bit of backstory from my perspective was that there was a couple other candidates who actually had multiple years of experience in Social Security law who applied for the job at the same time that you did. And we interviewed them, and I just was so blown away by your intelligence, your thoughtfulness, your caring for our community, that even though there was literally someone with 10 years of legal assistant experience in Social Security law, I thought, there's no way I can't work with Mervin. So that's why I literally called you while you were driving home and offered you the job because, I think if you give me those things, someone who's smart and someone who cares, the sky's the limit. And so,
I remember you told me that too, and I think it was a good thing to tell me because it set a fire under my seat too. It made me think like, oh wow, this guy passed over someone with over 10 years experience in this field. I had better pick up this stuff quickly. It's a lot of faith that you placed in me. But I think letting me know about that, it definitely strongly encouraged me to live up to the expectations you had. And I'm glad that I've gotten as far as I have with the firm.
Yeah. And that I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad I did tell you. One of the things I love about your story is you were hired as someone with zero legal experience or working in the legal industry. And what I love is that you literally took that and ran with it. And at every opportunity you exceeded and excelled and just got from, like you talked about, scanning and attaching mail to the next thing you know, you're talking to clients, and then the next thing you know, you're doing appeals, and then you're assisting at the federal court level, which is very complex and can be very detail oriented type work, and then the non-attorney rep exam, and then doing hearings, obviously, which is a huge thing that a lot of attorneys do as well. The vast majority of people who in the country who represent folks in hearings are attorneys, but because of this non-attorney rep exam, Social Security allows folks to take that and rep people in court. I compare it to, and maybe you can share the comparison, but one of the things I talk about is kind of in the medical field, which is what a lot of our clients will be used to. Your job position would be in what to comparison in the medical field?
Yeah, I've used this analogy as well. Nurse practitioner, and especially as far as I'm aware in the United States, it's more and more common for people who are getting medical treatment. They may call the person that they're seeing doctor. And informally, I think it's totally accurate. This person is providing you with medical treatment, medical expertise, but they don't have the title of medical doctor. They have some other type of credential that they still had to study for, they still have to get certification for, they still have to be insured for. And I'm in a very similar role. As a non-attorney representative, I am able to provide analysis, expertise, guidance within the context of Social Security disability law. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to give legal advice on other matters of the law. Other attorneys at law are able to do that. But within our firm, we do specialize in disability law. So my role as a non-attorney representative is very similar to that as the attorneys that we have on staff, in the sense that we're focused on people's disability claims. That's what we're good at. The more we can focus on helping people win their disability claims, I honestly feel the more effective we are as a firm. It's very natural for our clients to come to us with other types of questions that are somewhat related to disability and applying for disability, but veer away from that specific mission of helping you win your disability claim. The more we can focus on our expertise, I actually think we will be serving our clients and the disabled community the best by being laser focused on winning a disability claim, which in and of itself is already a challenge. It's something that we strongly recommend anyone who is going through the process get good representation, ideally with our firm, because it's not easy, and what you don't know can hurt you well in advance of the hearing process. A year or 2 years before you even are scheduled to go before an administrative law judge in Social Security, you're probably already filling out forms from Social Security just to proceed with your claim. Something you answer in those forms a year or two before your hearing could come back at the hearing level unexpectedly, and you may be surprised at how the judge is interpreting your answers on that form in a way that seems like, oh, is this hurting my case? So having a firm like ours on your side early in the case can really help avoid some of these pitfalls, on top of other things, other services that our firm provides that help folks achieve that goal, that specific goal of winning your disability claim.
Yeah, no, it's so true. So I do the same comparison. I'll say medical doctor to a nurse practitioner. They can both function the same way. Nurse practitioners can prescribe medicine. They can do everything that a medical doctor can do that you would go treat with. And so I like that comparison or an analogy. I think you're absolutely right. I think, and I don't want to deep dive too much into it because I want to focus more on you a little bit, but you're absolutely right. It can be having a lawyer, whether it's our firm or another firm that you work with and trust, is essential. I think, getting the tools and tips that you can from that law firm or that lawyer or their legal assistants to help you along your way. We've created, videos on our website that outline the most popular forms, and I've walked people through on how to fill those out. From the work history form to the adult function report form, and then we ask people if they want to call in and frankly talk to you or talk to our trained legal assistants. Then we can help them walk them through that form as well. So I wanted to ask you this, and just out of curiosity, what is your favorite or most rewarding aspect of being a non-attorney rep? Or, and I'm still working on what's a kind of a nice job title. I've got SSA licensed or a licensed SSA advocate, or but non-attorney rep or just something, right? So, but what is your favorite aspect of that job?
Yeah. It's definitely connecting with claimants, and there are kind of two moments where I feel at my best. Obviously, there's the getting to give them the good news when they've won their disability claim. The reactions are across the board. There are some people who will cry, and I'll let them. It's an emotional process for a lot of people. It can be months and years of waiting for this favorable result, for it to finally happen. So that's obviously an extremely positive experience, getting to be part of that call where we're telling them, you've won your disability claim. The hard part is over. And the Social Security decision maker, an administrative law judge in most cases, has said that you have a medical condition or multiple impairments that make it inappropriate to expect you to be working full time. You meet the requirements for Social Security disability benefits. Another opportunity that I really appreciate connecting with claimants is earlier in their case. When we are still early on, where we may not be at the hearing level, and they have some concern. They may be thinking about dropping their case, or there's some other issue going on in their life, and they want to talk to someone who's had experience fighting for Social Security disability. And in this conversation, if I can feel like I've made a difference, it could be something from a claimant is considering dropping their claim entirely, or they just have a question. For example, a claimant wanted to know how that they're going to go on vacation, and they're a little bit worried about going on vacation. It's an extremely meaningful vacation for them. They're going to go to Italy. Their mother-in-law died last year, and this is kind of a memorial trip for his wife to connect with her mother's Italian heritage. This client was concerned that going on vacation will hurt their disability claim, and what I told them is the law is clear. Federal judges have told Social Security Administration, you are not allowed to punish folks with disabilities who are just trying to live a normal life. And an occasional overseas trip, this person is not going overseas every month and living it up like they're a 20-year-old and partying all day, all night. The administration is not allowed to punish folks with disabilities for just trying to live a normal life. Taking an occasional trip to Italy is allowed. Yeah. But, Mr. Client, if you do have time to think about your disability claim, I want you to fully enjoy Italy. I want you to enjoy it as much as you and your wife are able. Immerse yourself in that experience. That for you is a one-in-a-lifetime experience. But if you do have a minute to think about your disability claim, this may give you some comfort in thinking about how to answer questions in the future if a judge should ask. You may want to think about, hey, how does my health how is my health impacting this vacation? Prior to my impairments, how would have I gone about this vacation that I can no longer do? What sorts of things did I have to consider, or accommodations I had to make for myself, that changed the way I took this trip? Doesn't mean that I stopped myself from doing something just because, oh my gosh, I'm worried about my disability claim. No, but because of my health, because of my conditions, I can't do things that I could have done 10, 15, 20 years ago. That, I think, will help a claimant actually be able to enjoy their vacation more. If they know ahead of time, like going on vacation does not give Social Security the right to immediately deny your application for disability benefits. Instead, you're just prepared to answer questions. Hey, judge, before my impairment, I would have gone and seen 13 museums in the week that I was there. But because of my impairments, I only got to see 3 or 4. I still had a great time seeing those. Those were the most important museums for me to see. Those were still the most important sites for me to see. My wife still had a good time. But you know what? My health absolutely impacted what I could have done on that trip.
Right.
That's the way to prepare someone to answer those types of questions.
No, it's great. That's great advice, and that reward of making a difference, and how even people may approach taking a vacation, once in a lifetime vacation. One of the tips I also give, because I've given similar advice, is that even like on the plane ride, did you have to get up and down? Were you able to sit for 8 hours straight, or did you find yourself having to walk around the plane? And if so, how often and how long, and the frequency of that? In your example of the museum, in the old days, you might have gone to 13, but now I've gone to 3 or 4. But what was it even like in the museum? Like, I was only able to walk for 10 minutes. Then I would have to sit for 10 minutes and rest, and walk for 10 minutes and sit. And so it's what slowed me down. Yeah. I love when people get into the specifics of that. And it is a great balance as a lawyer, or a non-attorney rep, I should say, as an advocate, that we understand that we're not in the business of making people disabled. We're in the business of advocating for those who are disabled. And one of the things too that I loved about what you just said is encouraging people to go live their best life. But if there's limits in that because of their disability, be prepared to be able to talk about that. And I think that's a sweet piece of advice.
Yeah, I think yeah. Go ahead.
Let me ask you on the flip side of that, and I don't want to dominate too much of your time, but on the flip side of that is, what do you find the most challenging part about your job as an advocate?
I think what's hard is there's a couple of things that immediately come to mind. Is that I strongly believe that we have a solid team here, but we can't work miracles, and we can't change the law even when we don't agree with the law. There are certain aspects, or even if it's not the law, there are certain policies that Social Security has that we can't change as disability advocates, as a disability law firm. There are certain ways Social Security implements their own policies that we don't agree with, that may be inconsistent with their own rules. So we face certain challenges that we have to get creative to work around, if we can work around. And then there are some rules that are just flatly going to stop a person from being eligible for Social Security benefits. We can go into the details, but there are non-medical rules that will prevent a person from getting supplemental security income, from getting Social Security disability insurance benefits, or any of the 5 disability programs that Social Security has. And that is unfortunate. That it really is heartbreaking to have to tell someone that it's not even for a medical reason. It's not even a medical evaluation that Social Security is telling you you can't proceed forward with your Social Security disability claim. It is for something other than your health. It could be the amount of work that you've put into the system isn't enough. It could be your citizenship or permanent residency status doesn't meet one of the exceptions that Social Security has. That's definitely frustrating. And as good as we are at our jobs, we can't snap our fingers and change the law.
Or change facts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we absolutely, it would be unethical and we would never do it. We would never tell a claimant to lie or to fabricate evidence so that they can proceed with their disability claim. It's unethical. It's extremely risky. It's just something we would never do. So sometimes people, for them, Social Security disability is not the avenue that they can pursue for better financial security. And it's a difficult conversation to have. I think what I try to do is, and I've read books about, how to break difficult news to people, how to break bad news to people, is to be upfront with them. It actually makes things worse if you try to avoid a difficult but important and unfortunately in this situation, unchangeable fact about their disability claim. Be upfront, be compassionate, and have answers prepared for if there are any alternatives that we're aware of. Thankfully, many states have their own programs to provide assistance for people in dire need. And it varies from state to state. It varies from individual to individual what their eligibility is. But if Social Security disability is not the right program for them, let them know. Let them know and be empathetic, but don't try to give false hope. We're not in the business of giving false hope. It ultimately giving false hope will ultimately put a person in a worse situation if we know ahead of time that Social Security's disability program isn't right for them.
You read my mind. The kind of the core of our mission is hope, encouragement, and knowledge, and not false hope.
Yeah. All three of those things. We have to give the authentic hope, authentic courage, the authentic encouragement, authentic knowledge. The false kind is no good.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, Mervin, I'm going to ask you this last question, and then I'm going to let you go. And I've been asking this of everyone. What's one or two pieces of advice you would give someone who's either right in the midst of applying or thinking about applying, that would maybe help them put their case in the best possible position to win?
If you're thinking about applying for Social Security disability, definitely I would encourage you to reach out to our firm and talk to our intake specialists. If you haven't started, the first process is to reach out and get the ball rolling. Now, if you've already done that, either you've applied on your own or or if you're a current client of Evans Disability, it's extremely important, and you've hammered this to your staff and to the clients. Medical. So much of what matters when Social Security is making a decision about whether or not you have a disability is based on the medical records. So please do your best to continue seeking, receiving medical treatment as much as you're able. Because that will provide the evidence that in a hearing, your hearing advocate can ultimately point to and say, Your Honor, this is the evidence. This is the medical evidence which shows this person has an impairment which prevents them from working full time. Without that evidence, it is nearly impossible to win a disability case. What I want to tell people who are, because it's also, I think, one of the top causes of anxiety for people on top of like public speaking is going to a treatment provider, dentists especially, but I think any doctor, there's a lot of reasons for why, a lot of legitimate reasons why people hesitate in getting medical treatment. What I would say to those folks, especially if you're applying for a disability, is I can foresee two outcomes if you go to your doctors and engage with them and follow their recommendations. If you follow their recommendations, and one outcome is that the treatment works, you get better, your health improves. Like you said earlier, we're not in the business of making people disabled. We're not in the business of that. So if your health outcomes improve, wonderful. The second possibility is if you do engage with your treatment providers and you are trying to follow their recommendations and you don't get better, then what we've done is we've added to that medical record that this condition is genuinely disabling. Despite the best efforts of your treatment providers, despite your own best efforts to follow their recommendations, things did not improve, and it is still impossible for you to go back to working full time. So those are outcomes that could happen when you engage with your treatment providers that are both positive. Either your health improves or your disability claim has been made that much stronger because of the effort you put into engaging with your doctors, your nurse practitioners, your counselors, your treatment providers.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. One side note to that, and we'll have to you and I will do a podcast about this topic down the road, is that even if you, and let's say clients or potential clients who are listening to this, if you do get better, but while you were disabled, it kept you out of work for at least 12 months or more, you may be eligible for what's called a closed period under SSDI, under Social Security rules and regulations. So yeah, I don't want to deep dive into that, but that's a third possible outcome as well. It can go hand in hand with medical improvement.
Yes.
Listen, Mervin, I want to say thank you so much for your time today, some sage wisdom. I'm so proud of you. And I mean that in all sincerity. You have been on an amazing journey. It's been exciting to watch. I'm really excited about this program that we're launching, and where people can literally, current clients or clients of evidence disability can literally log into our website and schedule some time with you and talk about their case or ask you questions. And I know you will give them sage wisdom. So
thank you, Peter. And it may be weird for an employee to say, for a younger person to say to an older person, but I am proud of you as well. You and Jamie have changed for me the way I thought all lawyers were going to be, and you broke the mold on that stereotype that I had.
Well, you honor me, brother. You honor me. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for your time. I'm really, really grateful for today.
You're welcome.